name is Sloane Dwyer. I'm currently a senior in high school, and on January 8th, 2024, I lost my 21-year-old brother, Landon, to fentanyl. I've thought about this speech for a while and how to make it appealing to the public, but the truth is, addiction is ugly, painful, and unpredictable. Nothing about it is appealing. I spent the last year and a half trying to maintain a normal teenage life while fighting the label of being the girl with the dead brother. Although my brother physically died only a year and a half ago, I lost him years before then. 2017 is when it all began. My brother was an excellent athlete, but unfortunately his body paid the price. He was only 15 when he had a spinal fusion, where he was then prescribed opioids as a painkiller. What began as recovery quickly turned into addiction. He spent months in and out of rehab facilities. I barely knew who my brother was anymore. As much as he was suffering, my family was too. They say people who struggle with addiction either recover, end up in prison, or die. My brother was one out of 80,400 people that died of an overdose in 2024. That's 80,400 families mourning someone close to their heart. Well, yes, addicts are physically struggling, their loved ones are mentally struggling. I personally will be talking about what it's like to be the sibling of an addict. And while I can't speak for all, I can speak for me. Me and my brother were never really close, as we had a 6-year age gap. But something we always said to each other was, well, when we get older, we'll get closer. I thought we had all the time in the world. I really always thought my brother would beat addiction. He was one of the strongest, most dedicated people I've ever met. But unfortunately, the drugs were stronger. Landon was not weak. Addiction is not a choice. It's a chemical dependency, one that we will never understand. It's not one of those things that you decide one day, oh, this isn't good for me, I'm gonna stop. But I was only 9 when Landon's addiction started, and I didn't quite understand that. I remember being so angry that he wouldn't just stop, because in my head, it seemed so easy. If it was so bad for him, why wouldn't he just stop? I saw things that a 9, 10, 11, or any 8-year-old should not see. The white powder on the counter was no longer powdered sugar. I'm the youngest in the family and naturally felt helpless. Watching your siblings struggle and your parents tear themselves apart thinking they went wrong somewhere was so confusing. What could I do? I was only a little girl. But now I'm 17 and I know exactly what to do. While I couldn't save my brother, my goal is to save others.
All right.
I'm not done. Anyways, I'm speaking today not to share a sob story, but to spread awareness. Me and my brother never got the chance to know if we would be closer when we were older. But maybe if the world zoned in a little bit more on the opioid crisis, my brother would have still been alive today. Grief is one of the strangest things I've ever felt, and balancing that with high school has been one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. People are mean, and I've heard a lot of dead brother jokes. That's what makes grieving as a kid different than an adult. Going to school surrounded by kids that have zero empathy, maybe because they just don't understand or just don't care, has made the grieving process that much harder. I've learned a lot about people since the loss of my brother, mainly those who really cared and those who didn't. I notice more now. I notice when people are struggling, I notice when people are lonely, and I notice when people are hiding sadness with a mask. This grieving process has been hard, and some days are harder than others, but I truly think I've come out of it as a better person with a more open mind. I used to be so terrified when people would tell me I reminded them of my brother, because I didn't want to end up like him. But now it's one of the biggest compliments I could receive. My brother was smart, resilient, strong, and wore his heart on his sleeve. Who he was high was nothing like the sober Landon. Anyone would be so lucky to have someone like Landon in their life. I find myself questioning why this happened to my family, but now I know it's because we were meant to speak when others stayed silent. So I will speak and speak and speak until I'm out of breath, because everyone's siblings should see them walk the stage of graduation, get married, and meet their nieces and nephews. All things my brother will not be there for, and I think that's the hardest part of it all. I grieve what me and Landon could have had, not what we did. But at the end of the day, I knew who my brother was deep down, and I will always be proud to call Landon Gabriel Dwyer my brother.